Okay, hi everyone. Thanks so much for joining our webinar this morning. We have a few students here and we are very excited to be joined by some faculty members and some current students at Western New England University. I'm going to go ahead and get started. We may have some more people joining us as this meeting goes on. But if you could just do us a favor and keep yourselves muted. If you have questions at the end of the presentation, you can certainly unmute yourself, or you can put your questions into the chat box, which is down at the bottom of the screen. That way there's no echo if multiple people are trying to talk at the same time. So we'll go ahead and get started. We are recording this video as well. Hello, Igwe, nice to see you. How are you? Okay, great. So like I said, we're recording this video, so we will be posting this on our website if it cuts out or if you wanted to rewatch this at any point. Excuse my dog in the background. She thinks that this is playtime, so I hope that noise isn't too distracting. My name is Rachel Lamson. I'm the Associate Director of International Admissions here at Western New England University. I have only been at the university for about 6 months, but I've worked in international education for about 8 years, and I'm also an alum of Western New England, so I'm excited that I have both the student and the staff member perspective. Let's jump into a quick introductions. I'm also joined by my colleague Emily Smith, who is our international admissions counselor. She typed into the chat box, so I hope everyone can see that. Like I said, if you have any questions at any point, you can put them into the chat box. We're very fortunate that we are joined by some amazing faculty members and current students. So if the faculty members, if you want to go ahead and unmute yourself one by one and quickly introduce yourselves. We don't have everyone here, actually. It looks like Dr. Tragi and Dr. Magotra are having trouble joining. So Professor Dini, if you'd like to start and introduce yourself.
This is Saeed Dini. I'm a professor of mechanical engineering department, also chairing the department. I've been here at Western New England University for almost 38 years. It's a long time, and I've seen the growth of the institution. It's a wonderful community here, and I'd like to welcome you to this meeting.
Hi, sorry, I'll take on. I was negotiating with a pugnacious 5-year-old. I'm Christian Salmon. I am the chair of the engineering department, industrial engineering and engineering management department. We have undergraduate programs in industrial engineering and master's programs in industrial engineering, engineering management, and then a PhD program in engineering management with hopefully soon a PhD program in industrial engineering.
Hello, everybody. My name is Ken Lee. I'm a professor and chair of the Civil Environmental Engineering Department. We have a very good master's program in civil engineering that's highly tailored to each student's individual needs. So I highly recommend, if you have more questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'd be happy to answer those.
Hey, I'm Kaylee Adams. I graduated from Western New England in 2015 with my bachelor's in mechanical engineering. I went straight into industry and I'm currently working at Raytheon Technologies. And I started my master's in engineering management in 2019. I'm currently wrapping up my last class with Professor Salmon, and then I will be moving on to the MBA as part of the dual program.
Hello, everyone. My name is Anaïs Guzman. I am from Venezuela. I graduated 2012. Sorry, what? Can you hear me? Okay. So my name is Anaïs Goodman, and yes, and I am from Venezuela. I have a bachelor in industrial engineering from Venezuela. I graduated in 2012, and I'm a graduate student in the master program in industrial engineering at Western New England since 2019.
Hi everyone, I'm Riccardo Clemente and I come from Italy. I just graduated in December from the bachelor degree in mechanical engineering, and right now I'm going through my PhD in engineering management here at Western New England.
Great, thank you all so much for your introductions. So before we get the panel started, I'm just going to quickly talk about the graduate programs that we offer and a little bit about the application process and the cost of the program. So we have students here today who have are really in a wide range of throughout the application process. So some students may have just heard about the university and some students have been accepted. So just as a quick overview, this is the list of the graduate programs that we offer in our College of Engineering. The Master of Science in Construction Management is a brand new program, which we're really excited to offer. And then the PhD in Engineering Management is our current PhD program, but Professor Salmon has shared with us that there may be a new PhD program in engineering as well, so keep an eye out for that. For students who are interested in applying, this is a quick checklist of the application requirements. We look for an online application, your university transcripts provided with an English translation, proof of English proficiency, so this can be the TOEFL, IELTS. We just added Duolingo as an acceptable form of proof of English proficiency. And there are a number of other ways you can meet this requirement. I would encourage everyone to check out the International Admissions website to learn all the different ways you can meet the English proficiency requirement. We look for a GPA of above a 2.7 out of a 4.0. We in the admissions office will recalculate your GPA for you, so you don't need to provide an external credential evaluation. We'll do that on our end. We also look for 2 letters of recommendation and a copy of your CV or resume. One really exciting thing that makes Western New England University unique is that we don't require the GRE for admission into our College of Engineering postgraduate programs. And there are also 4 entry points per year, so students can join in the fall, the winter, the spring, or in the summer. Makes it really flexible for students who are joining us from all over the world. And similarly, if you're interested in the PhD in Engineering Management program, the application requirements are very similar. Some of the differences is that we do look for a higher GPA. So we look for a 3.5 out of a 4.0. The PhD in Engineering Management program, we will require a GRE, and we look for a minimum score of 300. We'll also look for evidence of completion of a statistics or a probability course, either from your undergraduate or postgraduate degrees. Demonstrate competence in a programming language, and with the master's program, we also have 4 entry points per year, which again makes it very flexible. Now, a lot of international students will ask us about the cost. What is the tuition? What is the cost of living? So for our master's program, the tuition you'll see is about $21,324. Graduate students have the option of living on campus or off campus. Of course, off campus will tend to be less expensive, and there are a lot of housing options in the surrounding areas. There's also housing available on campus for students who wish to live on campus. But typically per year, it's about $13,000 for room and board. Additional fees, including health insurance, books, and personal expenses, we estimate about $4,500. Making the total program cost about $38,824. So keep in mind, this isn't the cost per term, per year. This is the total cost of the program, which typically takes about 18 months to complete. We left out the cost of the PhD program because it really varies based on the number of courses you take, the number of credits. So anyone interested in the PhD program, please feel free to email us or visit the website after the presentation, and we can talk more about the cost. So that was my quick spiel about our postgraduate programs in engineering at Western New England University. I wanted to really take the majority of this time to ask our panelists to share their insight about their experience here. So the next few slides, I'm going to ask some open-ended questions and invite our panelists to jump in and share their experience. So the first question we have is, again, for students and for faculty, why Western New England for a postgraduate program in engineering?
Can I answer that? So we are a small private university, which is, if you don't understand the structure of large public universities and small private universities and not-for-profit versus for-profit. We are, as faculty, we are incentivized to ensure quality education of our students. Now that's different than large universities who are, the faculty are incentivized to produce funded research. You've heard the phrase before in academia, publish or perish, meaning get research out published or you won't have a job. Well, that needs to be replaced with funding or perish. You will have funded research or you will not have a job in academia. At a small private university, that doesn't exist. We conduct research. We're encouraged to conduct research. We want to conduct research. We want to bring our students in on that research. However, our assessment as faculty are weighted towards the quality of our in-class education, both at the undergraduate and the graduate level. So that's a fundamental difference between a large public institution, which may have fantastic research capabilities. But for a master's degree, you're not necessarily engaging in research. You have an option. You can take a pure 10-course option of classes, or you can do a thesis option, which you can take work on a master's thesis for 6 of those credits or 2 of those classes. So we will support you in that research. But as a student, most of our students choose to do a 10-course option. So the primary concern is quality of education. And that, as faculty, is how we are assessed. And that's how we are incentivized, is to make sure our students have the highest quality education that we can offer. We do still engage in research. We all have active research programs, but for us, it is most important for us to ensure our students have a high quality experience.
I add a couple of comments to what was said, which is excellent. Our class sizes are small, as was mentioned before, and it's a personalized path of study. I always share this information with the students so that they know our program is adaptable program. That means when I see, for example, certain needs of industry, what I will do, I will direct the program to so that it fulfills that criteria. We have a collaborative research across the disciplines, which not many schools have that. We do have mentorship from professors at the top of their field, and they really mentor their students. We do have the distinguished faculty that are experts in their area with real-world experience, and you will be trained by these instructors who have significant industrial experience and will help you to develop your skills and basically enhancing your applied knowledge, which is a student-centered education our institution is. We also have the graduate program that students connect the learning in classroom with the what they need for the job they want to pursue. Therefore, mechanical engineering has an innovative yet practical curriculum that builds for real-world success. So what we do is basically we are very much applied. We use our labs as well as shops and so forth to make sure that the students get familiar with real engineering problems. And that's one of the strengths that we have in this institution. And I've seen that, as I said, 38 years being in this institution is a long time. And I've seen the growth. And also, I've seen the fact that our graduate programs have strengthened significantly. And I welcome those students who are seeking to learn and to be also fantastic engineers. Thank you.
So I'll add why I chose it for my master's degree. Like I said, I did my undergraduate with Western New England, and I loved it. One of the reasons I picked it for undergrad was, as Professor Salmon said, small private school professors usually have an open door policy. It's very easy to get a hold of your professors for anything you need. and for the value that the professors give to their students. For example, Professor Salmon has been very adaptable for some personal schedule changes I needed for the year. And overall, my employer, Raytheon Technologies, values higher education. They fund it for us, and Western New England is one of their top choices to send their employees. So regardless of the employer, however, in their favorite schools, I would have always chosen Western New England because I knew that the professors would be able to help me while I work full-time. I do business travel. The online and in-class options make it very flexible for me. Overall, I had no doubt that this was going to be where I went to do my graduate degrees. I never even looked anywhere else.
So when I would like to add, when I decided to pursue my studies, my graduate studies at Western New England, it was because the reputation. I moved here in 2000. I moved here from Venezuela in 2016, and I knew that I want to continue my studies and growing in my professional career. And my husband, he is from the area, like he born here and he grew up here in Western Massachusetts, and applied for college and university. And once that I get admitted Western New England, my husband, he told me, this is it, because this is in the area, this is one of the greatest reputations. Like the education already in United States, one of the highest in the world, and also here in the area, the reputation of Western New England compares with other universities in the area was the highest, and that was his reaction of it, because he already had family that are graduating Western New England, his grandfather, his stepmom, and we have friends also. So, and that reaction, that was the one that makes me feel like, yes, this is the one university. And after I study already from 2019, and the staff and the professors, like as Kaitlyn said, are being amazing with me, very supportive. And the resources, and one thing that I love is Kodiak is a program that I didn't have before. Is they recorded all the classes, so anytime I want to check a class, I just always can come back, even if it was the last past terms. And I'm happy. Thank you very much.
I suppose there's very little to say at the moment. Everything has been said. The only thing that I can add is that at Western New England, compared to larger schools, you're not a number. You are an actual person. So you're not just one person in 1,000. You are one person in 20. So people actually get to know you personally, and you can actually grow relationships with your professors. They know who you are. They have an idea of who they're talking to. So it's a much closer approach to teaching. So as said before, if you have any question, any doubt, if you want to talk to a professor, they're always available, because again, there's not thousands of students doing the same thing. It's just you and a few others. So that's why I wanted to pursue further my studies in colleges that are smaller size, because this is like the main advantage. You're not just a number, you're a person.
For example, I know Ricardo very well. When he joined Western New England, I knew him from then, and he has shown and he's progressed significantly. Obviously, in the research area, he has done a great job. So I'm very pleased that he's continuing his education here at Western University.
Thank you. It's been like 5 years since I started, so it's been a long time, and you really get to know your professors year by year, term by term.
But the professors also get to know you as well, and especially good students, you know, I mean, like Ricardo. We're very happy to have him.
Thank you.
Great, thank you so much, everyone. We'll go ahead and move on to the next question. I just wanted to quickly remind everyone, please keep yourselves muted if you aren't talking so that we can avoid any echo in the presentation. Okay, so this one is a little bit geared towards our current students. What has been your workload for the graduate programs in comparison to your bachelor's degree?
So I think if you look at an individual class's workload between graduate and undergraduate, typically I've seen them to be the same workload. Some classes you have class participation and an assignment every week, and then you have your term project. Some classes don't necessarily have a weekly assignment, but there are still ongoing projects that you have to keep up with. The only difference for me is because I'm only doing 1 to 2 classes at a time while I work full-time. It's a good balance to have that option of how many classes I do take at a time, because like I said before, I do a lot of business travel, international business travel, and I can take my laptop with me and do work. I've worked on a midterm project on an 8-hour flight to Europe. So 1-to-1, I think the workload is pretty comparable, but if you're doing full-time versus 1 to 2 classes, definitely a bit of a change there from full-time undergraduate demand.
Thank you, Kaylee. Ricardo?
Well, speaking as a PhD student, it all depends. The workload mostly depends on how many classes you take per term. Technically, you could be taking just 1 single course every term, and the workload would be, I would say it's an average workload per class. Of course, the more classes you have in 1 term, you can even just go to 2, 3. I don't really advise going over 3 at all. At that point, the workload gets much higher. So it all depends on how many courses and how long you're planning to continue your PhD through the years. If you want to do super quick, you can probably overload yourself with work, or if you want to take your time because, for example, you have a family, you have a job, etc. You can have less courses every term. So it all depends mostly. You can tailor for your own needs and your own life.
Yes, for example, I'm taking 2 courses per term, so I would say comparison is higher, and also you have to consider, in my case, the language barrier. I had to spend like extra time sometimes in vocabulary and understand it, but yeah.
Wonderful, thank you all. So we get this question a lot. Do I need a bachelor's degree in engineering to be admissible for these programs? Who would like to address that one? Yes, Professor Sam.
So if we look at the Master's in Industrial Engineering, yes. But it could be any engineering degree. There are unique circumstances that we would then consider on a case-by-case basis. If somebody had been they do not have an undergraduate in engineering, but they've been a plant manager for 20 years, we would take that into consideration. But more importantly, for the engineering management, no, because the engineering management degree is just that, is a management degree that sits at the cusp between business and engineering. You would be managing a team, a technical team within an organization, or managing the technical organization. So with that, we're much more open to the types of degrees A business degree, certainly. A construction management degree, absolutely. Any of the sciences, mathematics, the biology, and then if you something more along the lines of liberal arts undergraduate, that would probably be on a case-by-case basis, because you do need to have a significant amount of technical knowledge to excel in an engineering management program. But a liberal arts degree in English studies could be offset by a body of professional work that would map more towards a managerial skill set. Because with engineering management, we actually do have quite a bit overlap with the business school. So any kind of business undergraduate would be an excellent starting point for a master's in engineering management. So managerial degrees, no. Engineering degrees, probably.
I echo what Christian said. We usually accept the students if they have deficiency in certain areas, then we ask them to take those courses, and then they will be continuing their education. So the answer to the question is that we look at the individual cases one by one and see if we can help the students to pursue their master's degree. And most probably and likely the way that we have established this program is that we will have the students come to the Western University and take some courses that they need to take, and then continue for the master's. So whatever was said, as I said, I echo that also. Thank you.
Okay, wonderful. So this can be for students and faculty members. Will I be able to conduct research during my degree, or is the program primarily project management focused? And I know that this will vary based on the program. Professor?
Yeah, so the project management, that would probably be within the context of an engineering management degree. So there is the thesis option, where you would do a master's thesis, which is a project where you do not necessarily have to produce a new methodology, but you would apply an existing methodology to a current situation, hopefully in partnership with an industrial partner. So there's a lot of more practical. So we might be able to help identify a project, and so that research would result in a published master's thesis, and we would hope a journal article, which kind of just helps on a career side. And we strongly recommend that if you are interested in the thesis, you announce this early, because then we can work with you to identify a project and guide you through that process, because the 6 credits or 2 courses that are allotted to the thesis option goes really fast. And so you want to get into that with a very well-defined project schedule goal. But yes, so you can conduct research in the engineering management and industrial engineering, or any of the engineering master's programs, but you do not have to.
Thank you. Professor Lee or Professor Dini, anything to add?
No, since this is project management, I think that relates to Christian as far as I'm concerned. In mechanical engineering, they do thesis, but not exactly a project management thesis. So, but we can talk about thesis later on. And we also, in mechanical engineering, the students have option to take 10 courses or to take 9 courses plus a project, or take 8 courses plus a thesis. And those students who are going for the PhD program, we recommend that they would take 8 courses plus a thesis, which is 6 credits. And we have a number of students who do that. That means they take 8 courses plus a thesis, which is 6 credits, and that makes it 30 credits for the students. And it's an excellent program. the research. Our faculty members are involved in research, that applied research, and I guess Ricardo is a good example of that also. That he worked with a faculty member who are doing research with different companies around the nation.
Yeah, this is Ken Lee from Civil Engineering. Now, for the Civil Engineering program, we operate very similar as the Mechanical Engineering program, such that a student has the option to do thesis, a project, or a straight coursework. But majority of my faculty do have external funding. Okay, so many of them are actively looking for students to do research with them, and many of them will be paid research. So that is what the civil engineering is doing at the moment.
Okay, thank you very much. So how does Western New England University prepare its graduate students for the workplace? Of course, with international students, because these are STEM programs, students qualify for the STEM OPT opportunity, which allows students to remain in the US for 3 years after they've graduated. So whoever wants to talk about career preparedness. Yes, Professor Dini.
As I mentioned earlier, which is, I think is very important, our institution in general is a sort of a majority of the programs are applied programs. That means we make sure that we include significant amount of real world engineering problem within our courses, which I think distinguishes our institution as compared to others. Now, I emphasize on this because I think that is a sort of a distinguishing feature that we have in this institution. Now, as was mentioned before, we have a number of faculty members who have funded research, and therefore they can, and these funded research are real engineering problem, by the way. Students can apply for basically work with the faculty member who does research, and then they obviously learn about real engineering problems and applied engineering. This is one thing. The other one is that we do have a concentration which is called mechatronics. Mechatronics is one of the concentrations that we have in mechanical engineering, and it's really applied also. And I have had many students who have come from overseas and also from different states in this country, in US, that have told us that they have learned quite a bit in this mechatronics concentration when they took courses that almost 50% of the work was applied, and they had to do things in the lab, and they were able to learn significantly. And I have a number of students that I said they finished their master's and they went for their PhD in different institutions. One went to Florida, for example, after he's getting his master's degree here. So we will prepare students for workplace. We'll prepare students if they need for continuing their education to get their PhD.
With mechanical engineering, they have their mechatronics concentration. In engineering management, we have something similar. We call them graduate certificates. So we have 8 graduate certificates, which is a 4-course option. Everywhere from operations research to operations management to risk and emergency management to supply chain management. So you can come in and take 4 courses and get a certificate. Then you can continue on and get another certificate, and then you can start to combine those and work towards a full master's degree. So you don't have to apply to the master's program, you can apply to the graduate certificate program, and then transfer all of those credits over into the master's program at the end, if you want. Or as our form of concentration, if you're in the master's program, you can, if you take the right courses, you can then get your master's degree and 1 or 2 graduate certificates as a sign of concentration. So you can get a master's degree in engineering management with a concentration in risk and emergency management, with a concentration in operations management or supply chain management, Lean Six Sigma. And so these are other options for that are attractive. Going back to your question of how do we prepare them for industry in the workplace, these are concentrated statements saying are statements of concentration where you have not just a master's degree, but a master's degree with specific focus on supply chain management, for example.
I'm wondering, do any of the current students want to add anything about how they feel their program is preparing them for the workplace?
Yeah, so I can comment. If this was an undergraduate panel, I could talk all about how it definitely prepared me for the workplace. I did go straight into industry for 4 years before starting my master's degree. So not so much that the graduate program has prepared me, but it has definitely complemented the lessons I've learned, the trainings I've had, the overall experience I've had working in the industry the last 4 years. Specifically, I'm working in quality engineering, and there are a lot of key classes that drive specifically towards quality engineering. I'm excited because this week's homework for Professor Salmon, I get paid to do regularly, that type of analysis. So directly complements my career. But overall, the lessons learned, and because you'll take kind of the soft skill leadership management classes as well as your hard technical classes, the soft skill leadership classes have definitely complemented and reinforced what I've learned working at a small 50-person company versus a large hundreds of thousands of employees corporate company. And a lot of the technical skills, I'm either learning how to do my job more efficiently or with better tools, or like I said, just reinforcing, like, yes, I'm on the right path. The educational courses are directly what I'm learning at work, and nothing's conflicting, and I'm reassured in what I'm doing and what I'm doing it well. So while the graduate program did not prepare me directly to go into the workforce, it's definitely prepping me for the next move in my career towards management and leadership and reinforcing all the skills that I've already been learning.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to the next question. So going off of the last question, how does job placement work concerning the OPT STEM opportunity? So as I mentioned, students in these fields can apply for STEM OPT, which is an additional 3 years of work or training opportunities in the US. And I know Anais and Ricardo, coming from being international students yourselves, do you have any experience with applying for STEM OPT?
Yes. So I actually was in between deciding to apply for an OPT or right away start my graduate program. So the main issue that I found with OPT is the time that it takes for OPT to be accepted. So it's kind of something to keep in mind that it could take up to like 3 to 4 months to get the OPT accepted and all in good shape. So it's just something that it is possible. There's no problem in getting it. It's just time consuming. So if you're planning on studying in the United States, or you're studying right now in the United States and you're planning on an OPT, start planning right away what you want to do it, when you want to do it, because you might actually get at one point in which you are just like too late to get it because I don't know, your visa is expiring, etc. So yeah.
Okay, great. And I will say that we have a really wonderful international student coordinator on our campus, Zainab, who helps students apply for OPT, make sure that they're remaining in active CBIS status. So you'll have plenty of support once you arrive on campus from both faculty members and from our international student coordinator to go through that application process. Okay, so what are some of the resources that are available to graduate students on Western New England University's campus?
That might be a better answer by somebody from the administration, because we don't necessarily focus on all of the nuances of a foreign student coming to campus. So from a academic side, we have you know, of course, all the standard resources, but we also have laboratories, and we actually do have, for the engineering management and industrial engineering, we have a graduate research laboratory. So if you're conducting active research, we have a separate laboratory with more high-powered computational capabilities that are set aside for graduate researchers. So if you are coming and you don't have necessarily all of the resources, such as a high-powered laptop computer, and you're living on campus, you have access to the purpose-specific library for industrial engineering and engineering management graduate students.
I cannot add much to what Christian has said, so I think the administration should respond to this part of the question.
Well, I'm curious from the student perspective, Anais, Keely, and Ricardo, are there any resources that you have taken advantage of on campus?
I personally have not. While I could get up to Springfield if I needed to, I've mostly been doing online classes. But the resources that I have been utilizing obviously have been the professors. The whole College of Engineering administration office has been very helpful in getting me aligned. The professors are very easy to get a hold of and work with. So really the only direct resource I've been utilizing is my professors.
Rachel, I have to add a statement here. Sometimes we do have work, basically study that we basically give to graduate students who can grade papers or do work in the lab. So we have that available. And many of the students that are working in our sort of lab, in the mechanical engineering lab, also the number of students who have helped us to grade some of the undergraduate courses that I have had in the past, but I don't know if that would be part of what you're asking. But they have to work for it rather than it's not a grant, you know. It's just they have to work for that. I wanted to make sure to make that statement.
In industrial engineering, we have a lab, a computer lab, that we can explore programs like Minitab, AutoCAD, math. That are the resources that I've been using. Right now, we have like remote access to some of those resources through the website, Minitab especially. Arena simulation is a simulation software, and I personally use the remote library to search for documents, academic documents. Also, I want to add, you have other benefits. For example, I use my email address and Amazon gave me like 6 months of Amazon Prime. Does that count?
I suppose I could add just as a couple afterthoughts. So for graduate students, besides having the library and all that, there's also if you need help with anything, the staff is always there for you. So when it comes to either documentation or your visas or any of the requirements that you need to go through to actually apply for your graduate program, they can definitely help you with giving you checklists or just providing you some ideas on how to do things. So I suppose even just the staff, they're a great resource, especially for international students. The international advisor as well. So yeah.
Okay, thank you. Professor Dini, I think your point actually is a really good segue into our next question, which is really common, especially for international students. So we would love to hear more about any opportunities for graduate students to work on campus. I know we've had a question too about the PhD fellowship. So any insight as to job opportunities and maybe assistantships or fellowships?
Well, I think I answered the question earlier, but yes, we do have, as I said, we do have work study available for some of the students, not everyone, and but majority of students who have applied, they have got it, and they make some money is based on the opportunities that they have to do in the, as I say, in the lab and also grading papers. And some of the students may also get involved in research, paid research. That means the faculty member have got funded research and they can provide the students who are working in that specific project with some resources and monies. So there's some availability in that, in that area.
Anyone else? Okay. I will say that, oh, Professor Simon, go ahead.
Sorry, I was responding to a similar question in the chat group at the same time. So for industrial engineering and engineering management, we have limited options for funded research working for us. At the PhD level, we have fellowships, which means we pay you to get a degree, but those are limited and competitive. Right now we have, I think, 5 or 6. We had 6 and kind of figure out where we are moving forward. And we have all of those positions currently filled. So right now it's a waiting game that, as people apply and they're requesting a fellowship, we put them into the queue, and as a fellowship opens up, we then go into the pool and we interview candidates to make sure that we find the best, because we view and as a fellow, you actually teach classes, which is unique in fellowship programs, because we have found when we were designing our program that, and we all come from a PhD program, and many of us ourselves were funded. And we get out of, and I was fully funded PhD fellow at George Washington University for a number of years. And then I left there and I came here and I'm handed the classroom with 30 students to teach, and I've never taught anything in my life, right? So in our fellowship program, you actually teach undergraduate students at the freshman, sophomore, and junior level. Our goal is that you come out of the PhD program not only as a university level researcher, but as a university level educator as well. Now, we don't just throw you into the classroom. We actually have a mentoring program that if you're going to teach probability and statistics to the sophomore, you will first take that class as a student and do all of the work. And then the second semester, you will then teach that class. So the working is limited. There are some research opportunities. We have some funded research, and as those arise, the faculty will, same thing, interview prospective research associates on a case-by-case basis. But then those are only open when there's an opportunity, and quite often those opportunities are full, and we have to wait for a student to graduate before we can then bring someone else in.
Okay, great. And I wanted to add too, as an international student, you can apply for CPT, which is curricular practical training. And this is work that you can do on campus, up to 20 hours per week, and it must be related to your field of study. So again, Zainab, who's our international student coordinator and on campus, she's really great at helping students through that application process and making sure that you're maintaining your CBIS status while taking advantage of these work opportunities. So the last question that we have for our panelists, and I would love for students and faculty to share their insight on this one, is what's one piece of advice that you have for students who are starting their graduate degree at Western New England University, and also those who are really thinking about where they want to go and trying to decide what the best option is for them?
I just have a comment on this. I like to emphasize on the fact that get involved with the community. I think that will be the most important aspect of education, especially in a small institution like ours, that you can get to know people. Get involved. Come. If you're in mechanical engineering or other fields, everybody, all the chairs that I know, they do the same thing as I do. We will get you involved in there. We will take you to the labs. We will take you to the areas that you are interested in. We make sure to introduce you to the faculty members. So if you want to do a project or a thesis, you should be able to do that. So get involved. Go see the chair of the department, and they will basically instruct you to what to do and how to get involved. I think that's the most important thing that it happened to me some 40-some years ago when I came here. So I've gone through the whole thing. You've got to get involved. If you do not get involved, you're not going to get to know people. You're not going to get to have contacts with industry and so forth. Get involved. This is my advice that I always give to the students who are coming and who are new when they come to the institution.
So I'll add, just overall, consider your undergraduate experience, what worked for you, what didn't, the workloads, the type of professors, your learning styles. Just consider everything from your undergraduate experience. And if we haven't answered your questions here, reach out. I believe our contact info is at the end. Reach out and ask more specific questions if you need to see what is the right fit for you, either with the students or with the professors. I knew from undergraduate that Western New England was going to be the perfect fit for me. So just really consider, what are your strengths and weaknesses in your learning styles and your needs and where you want to go with your career.
How about Ricardo or Professor Lee?
My advice?
Oh, go ahead.
So I guess I'll go. So again, something that I would definitely try to figure out as soon as possible, as soon as you start your graduate degree, is to plan out how long you want to spend, how much time you have to spend on your studies. You don't want to have too much of a workload, and you don't want to have too little of a workload. Speaking as a PhD student, that is especially important because you might want to get out of the PhD program much quicker. So you want to have more classes every term. But again, it's rather important that you just don't overload each term because you're just going to burn yourself out, especially if you have other things in life that are going on. Yeah, so.
Okay, this Professor Lee. So I would echo what Professor Dini has said and get involved. We have a lot of student clubs, organizations, as well as competitions. that graduate students are more than welcome to involve. I know from mechanical there's the Baja, so that's very popular. Okay, and for civil we have the Steel Bridge, and the Steel Bridge competition, and from time to time we have solar decathlon competitions. So there are lots of different ways for students to get involved, and I will also get to know our undergraduate students. I think that's also a big plus, because I think when a foreign student come into to our program, not only you want to learn from the faculty, you also want to learn from the other students. I think you want to learn about the culture and all the different things that come with it. So get a very good overall experience while you're here at Western New England.
Me as international student, I know sometimes can be intimidated. The being in a different country, in a different language, and you can be afraid of or consult the professor. But my advice is like, no, be afraid. The professors and the staff are amazing. They're always willing to help, honestly, and never be afraid to ask extra questions.
That's great. Thank you so much. Okay. So I wanted to give an opportunity to list all of our contact information here. You can see we have the College of Engineering faculty members, our current students, and then Emily and myself. We also have Michelle Goodfellow, who joined us on this call, who is the Executive Director of Undergraduate Admissions and Director of International Admissions at the university. You're welcome at any point to reach out and ask us questions. You can see we are really excited to welcome new students to campus. We know it's kind of an uncertain time with travel restrictions and visa appointments not being available. So we're here to support you. We're really here to help you. And with that, if we only have a few students on, so if you did want to turn on your cameras or unmute your microphone and ask us any questions or share any comments, you're welcome to do so now. Great. So I'll go ahead and leave this slide up. So if you wanted to jot down our contact information, you're welcome to. Like I said, feel free to reach out at any time. And we'll be posting this webinar on the website if you did want to go back and remind yourself of anything we had talked about. Otherwise, feel free to reach out. Thank you so much for joining us for our panel today. And thank you so much to our students and our faculty members for sharing their insight. It was really, really helpful. And I hope that the future students found it helpful as well. So thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you very much.